morning, good afternoon, good evening, regardless of where you are. It's always a great time to have conversations about the gospel in the light of Spiritism. Today, we're going to be discussing chapter 26 of our book, Our Daily Bread, and it's titled Immediate Tasks, and it's based on 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 2. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Kardec Radio for the opportunity to bring to us conversations such as this one and other conversations as well. Kardec Radio is available in several platforms, including the X platform, and also it offers a podcast app, actually an app where you can have access to podcast types of presentations. Before we begin, let's close our eyes in prayer and thank the Lord for all the great knowledge that we receive through different sources, all the inspirations from the good spirits who are always with us. Thank you for our challenges because they make us wiser, stronger, and better spirits, and also for the moments of joy because they are so good and give us so much positive energy. May God's love be with us always, regardless of the circumstances. So be it. So today, again, we're going to be reviewing chapter 6 of the book, Our Daily Bread. It's called Immediate Tasks. Again, based on 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 2. And the passage from the gospel reads as such: Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care, serving as overseers, not because you must, but because you're willing, as God wants you to be, not greedy for money, but eager to serve. Again, 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 2. This is a very interesting passage. It is a letter from Peter, the first one, and he sends this letter to several churches at the time. Those were the first Christian churches at the time. And basically, this letter is for the leaders who he compares to shepherds. And again, when you're a shepherd, you're caring for your flock and you're caring for those people under your responsibility. And he implies here that this is God's flock, meaning this is God's work, and those individuals, those elders in that case, who were overseeing those groups, again, they are flocks, they're personal flocks. Those are part of the larger work that is offered by God. And again, serve as overseers, meaning taking care of all of them. And again, not because you must, not because you feel by obligation, but by love, but you're willing because it is something that you really want to do. And again, not greedy for money, not greedy for material possessions, but again, eager to serve a greater good. A very interesting passage here. And Emmanuel explains to us that this is what, in the first paragraph, naturally in the realm of just possibilities, no one should deny help or assistance to the companions that solicit a reasonable request from afar. However, it is our obligation to pay attention to Peter's teaching regarding our immediate tasks. So it's kind of interesting, again, even though we are not exactly in the same situation, we're no longer in these up and coming churches, but all of us, we all have our own flocks, we have our own responsibilities. There are always those individuals who need us as overseers, who some way or another are being taken care of us. And we can think about, of course, if you're talking about religious leadership, of course, yeah, we can be leaders of religious organizations. Talking about workplaces, there are those who are under us as well, so it applies to those. And our families and our friends, several of our family members are under our oversight. They are under our responsibility. So this message, even though it had a very specific context to it, it actually applies to all of us. Emmanuel continues indicating here, some individuals deliberately give themselves to disquieting thoughts of dreadful events projected by the sick mind of others, and that will probably never occur. They waste a lot of time suggesting formulas of action or in useless lament. And Emmanuel continues, the field work of others and future occurrences, in order to be examined, always require a great deal of consideration and reflection. So again, we all have field of work for others. We're always having impacts on other people's lives. So what we see here is Emmanuel explaining to us that we should not have these negativity, disquieting thoughts when we are doing those things. We should not have this be surrounded by negativity. Again, Peter indicates to the leadership that they should be doing things willingly. They should be doing things out of love, because they want to. So again, as we interact with one another, as we care for one another, it is important to close ourselves from the negativity that surrounds us, the worries, the stress. Even though, of course, in any level of responsibility, there's going to be a level of stress, a level of concern. Yeah, of course, that is true. But again, allowing that to turn into something negative, to something that is derogatory, that is something that does not help us bring the best in us, that's when it becomes an issue. And Emmanuel continues here that, again, in the field of work for others, or either now or in the future, it is always require a great deal of consideration and reflection. We should always think before we act. We should always do not let ourselves be guided by the negative emotions, but again, use our minds and what is best under that scenario, what is best in that response, in that level of responsibility. And again, we're talking about the way we all interact with one another, how we are responsible for groups of people, either large or small. We're always responsible for someone. We always have an impact in someone's life. So again, instead of allowing this negativity, these negative suggestions that come from us, not only from incarnate spirits, but also from disincarnate spirits. So instead of having that, now allowing the good to be, using our minds so we can allow the good to take place, so we can actually provide the best that we can offer. Emmanuel continues here indicating that it is for this reason that the message from Simon Peter is profound and opportune for all times and for all situations. Yeah, so it is profound, again, because it is reminding us of the need to bring the good in ourselves as we interact with others, as we have an impact in the lives of others. So it is a very profound message. It is opportune for all times. It is not something that is restricted for that particular scenario. Under those circumstances, again, we can always impact someone's life. So as I am interacting with other people, it is important that I reflect, like Emmanuel indicates here, so that there's this inner searching, there's this deliberation for me to determine, hey, the way am I giving my best in whatever circumstance I might be in. Emmanuel continues here indicating that let us attend to the imperatives of the divine service, which is localized in our personal landscape, not by constraint, but rather with spontaneous goodwill, escaping more so from our own personal interest and firmly and attentively assisting in good causes as much as possible. So we can break this down in a few few points here. So first of all, as in our personal landscape, let's attend imperatives of divine service localized in our personal landscape. And again, in our lives, we all have our responsibilities. We all have our own flocks that are given to us by God. And again, that flock might be a whole nation, depending on our responsibility, a whole company, a large organization, a small organization. It can be a spiritual group, again, either large or small, and can be our circle of friends, can be our neighborhood, can be our family, big or small as well. So all of those who are around us. So it is interesting for us to think that all of us have some level of responsibilities. Now, as we serve under those different scenarios, it's important to think that we should do it not as a constraint, but as with goodwill. So try to do our good, to bring what's best, and not because we're feeling forced under those same circumstances. Nothing in life has been forced upon us. We have our families. We are reincarnating our families because we agreed to be with that group of people. We reincarnated with our friends for affinity. And other responsibilities that we might have as well, those large or small, we've all agreed to those before we came. So whatever we're doing, again, is not by constraint. We're not being obliged to do it. So if that is the case, so if it is the case that we came in before we reincarnate, we've agreed to be with that family, that particular group of friends, neighborhood, large organization, small organization, regardless, whatever it is, we agreed to be to that task before we reincarnate. So let's use goodwill. And instead of using those circumstances to satisfy our own personal ego, our own personal interests. So instead of that, making sure that we give our best in whatever it is that we're doing, whatever good cause that we're doing. And also paying attention, being diligent, being responsible, being good shepherds of whatever group it is that is being assigned to us as much as possible. Interesting that Emmanuel indicates here as much as possible. Again, as much as we can do that as well. I mean, because of course we're limited. We cannot save the world. We cannot force others to change. All we gotta do is just foster change. All we gotta do is give this best to others, and offer to serve as well. And Emmanuel here finalizes indicating that it is sometimes reasonable for the individual to preoccupy himself with the world situation, with the regeneration of the collectivities, with the positions and responsibilities of others, but we must not overlook caring for God's flock that is under our care. So yeah, so it is important for us, and again, Emmanuel uses the pronoun here, himself, but again, means himself, herself, means anyone. So it is important for us to be preoccupied with what happens in the world. Of course, we live in a material world. We're here in a material experience. We have our material responsibilities as well, which are part of us taking care of our flock. So yeah, we should pay attention to the world situation. And he mentioned with the regeneration of the collectivities, with the positions of responsibilities of others. So again, we should pay attention to the world, what's happening, with any improvements that we should expect or that we should hope. That is part as well in the positions of responsibilities of others, because again, we're all interacting with one another. So whatever someone else does or doesn't do, it impacts us. But again, we should also look inside ourselves and must not overlook our own responsibilities of caring for God's flock that is under our care, for doing our best willingly and with love to serve in whatever circumstance that we are putting to serve. So today, that was our conversation. I hope you liked it, and if you liked this presentation and other ones here in Kardec Radio, make sure you click the subscribe button, give a thumbs up. Again, Kardec Radio is available in several platforms. It is possible to send comments, suggestions, and questions through the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. And at this moment, let's close our eyes in prayer and connect with our spiritual friends. And take a moment to reflect on all of our responsibilities, big or small, on all of those who depend on us in different aspects. And reflect on how we can do better, on how we can serve better those that are under our responsibilities, those who are part of our flock that God provided to us. May we be good shepherds. May we do our best. May we be role models, friends, fathers, mothers, regardless. May we give our best in whatever circumstance it might be in. So be it.